I've had affairs with other So what happened to my toes? Well, I started doing Brazilian Jiu-jitsu yesterday, and I did it this morning. I was also wanting to shoot this video outside, someplace cool, but I'm too tired after this morning's Brazilian Jiu-jitsu session, and I'm also very frustrated, and I don't have much time. I have to go get my kids. They get out early on Fridays, which I reached this point with Ashtanga yoga where, I've been doing it for 10 years, and I just reached this point where I'd start practicing and I couldn't even get 10, 15 minutes into the practice, and I just couldn't go forward anymore. And this was a bit heartbreaking. Now, I've had these rough patches before where you just don't feel motivated, so you go take walks or something like that, and then you get over it. I don't know what happened this time. I just could not bring myself to do anymore. Now, I've quit once before. I started when I was in my 20s. I did it for 2 years, and I quit for several years, and then I got back into it. So I'm just hoping that I go back to it, because I really love the practice. I love being alone, but I also love to engage with people. And Ashtanga yoga is kind of a solitary practice. Even when you're practicing in a class, there's no interaction really, unless the teacher comes and adjusts you. It's like being with someone in a long-term relationship for like 10 years, and then suddenly you realize you're not happy with the person anymore. You still love them, you still care about them, but you don't want to be with them anymore. And that's kind of how I feel about this practice. It might sound silly, but so I'm really hoping that at some point that this is more or less just a break, and that I'll come back to it when I'm ready to. I love the way that yoga makes my body feel. I just wasn't enjoying the actual practice anymore. And like I said, I hope that changes. But now I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-jitsu. It's something I dabbled in when I was in college, and I didn't really get a chance to really do it. So now I'm doing it, and it beats you up. I have all these scrapes and bruises and everything, and it tears up my feet. So my skin's gotta toughen up. And you don't realize it when it's happening. Like when the skin is being rubbed off your toes, you don't really know it, because you're in your sparring match. It's like a wrestling match, and you don't really realize it until you get into the shower, and then once the water hits that exposed blistered skin, it burns quite a bit. Another really frustrating thing is I wanted this next video that I was putting out to be another video from Cuba. I got so much wonderful footage when I was in Cuba, and I've already done 2 videos on Cuba. The next one it was a bit frustrating because I'm really trying to separate between what I like, because it can be a lot like a home movie, versus what an audience might like to see. So I was really struggling with that, and it was taking me a while to edit this next video. And then I decided to take a break. I was editing last night. I decided to take a break. I'd go downstairs for about an hour. I come back up, and I try to log into my computer. It won't let me log in. So I just thought, okay, well, I'll restart it. I restarted it. It does not even recognize my profile as being a user of the computer. It's like been wiped. I have no idea what's going on. I'm really hoping that it didn't wipe out all the work that I've done up until this point, because that will be painful. It was painful to edit what I had gotten done on this next video from Cuba. To lose all that right now it would really suck. Everything, the routines that I was doing, everything that I was doing, the way that I was thinking, the way that I was working out with Ashtanga yoga and everything, it just feels like suddenly those don't apply anymore, and I have to find something new, which that can be exciting. And the thing to just keep remembering is just to keep pushing through it. So for this vlog, I know that even though I'm getting frustrated at certain points because I'm not sure what I'm doing for the most part, I just know to keep going. And it's hard when you don't have a big audience who is watching you, and at the same time that is a blessing, and that makes things a bit easier, because I can really make a lot of mistakes. But without sort of that fuel to know that you have an audience who has expectations and wants to see your work and responds to your work and enjoys your work. Without that fuel, it can be really hard. It's expectations versus intentions. The more expectations I have, the more likely I am to be disappointed. And the more intentions I have, the more flexible I can be. So, for example, I had every intention of continuing to practice Ashtanga yoga, but it's not working. So I shifted to an intent. My intent is to be physically fit, to work out. I need that. And that can be different things, but it has to be something that I'm interested in. It has to be based on like a technology or techniques, which yoga has, jiu-jitsu has. I couldn't do just running. I don't like to run. It doesn't feel like it's healthy to me, the jarringness on my body. And it's just that sort of singular sort of thing. I need something to learn. I need techniques. That's what excites me. So it can't just be like simple exercise. It needs to be more involved. I need to be feeling like I'm learning something with my entire body. I also need interaction. There's that interaction with the person you're wrestling with, and I need that, and I wasn't getting that from yoga. That was the other thing too. Whenever I'm wrestling with someone, I feel like I'm able to be a kid again, and this is really fun. I think for boys a lot of times, and I'm sure there's some girls when you're a kid, there's just something to roughhousing. There's just something to wrestling and just doing that and being playful, not aggressive, but being playful about it, but a little bit of aggression in there. And I'm getting to do that. I'm like finding that side all over again. So I feel like a kid when I'm wrestling like that. So the intent is to stay physically fit, to engage in a technology, engage in an art form. And if it's not yoga, it can be something else. And that's the power of intent. It can be different things. But if I lay an expectation and I say yoga for life, and then I run into a wall like I've just run into, that expectation just leads to disappointment. Last night I had an expectation that my computer would work. I know it's a crazy expectation to think that your computer should work, but it didn't. And yes, I am really disappointed about this. But my intent, I shifted to intent. My intent is to get videos out there that are interesting and entertaining, and that's why I was able to sit down and do this video. My expectation was that I would do the video outside, giving some really nice scenery. Maybe I'll just throw some drone shots, just gratuitous drone shots into this, so that I can give you some of the eye candy that I was hoping to give. Instead of being disappointed, I shifted to intent. What is the intent? The intent is to get videos out. I'm falling behind my goal, but get a video out, make it as interesting as you can. Man, I am frustrated. When my expectations aren't met, shifting to intent. What do I really want out of this? I need to not have expectations that it's going to be Casey Neistat or Peter McKinnon and all that, because that's also comparing yourself to others, and that's a dangerous place to go, because it really, I would go further than saying it doesn't do any good. It does harm. So expectation, comparison to others, no good. And so it's intent. So my intent with this vlog is to sharpen my video skills, become a better storyteller, get better at videography, get better at taking pictures, discover something of myself, learn something, reflect this back to me, and just get better at communication overall. I love good communication in all of its forms. This is a great way to communicate. It includes the verbal, it includes music, it includes the visual. Yeah, that's the stuff that I love. Affairs with other yoga, other styles of yoga other than Ashtanga. I've cheated on Ashtanga a few times, but I always come back to Ashtanga. This is the first time that I'm cheating on Ashtanga and having an affair with a completely different thing. I'm going from yoga to martial arts. And at the end of the day, like all good affairs, they will serve their purpose, and I will come back home to Ashtanga. I know that sounds really terrible because people probably right now are thinking that that's what I do in my relationships. But no, it's just a stupid analogy or a metaphor that I'm using right now to convince myself that I will get back to Ashtanga yoga.